Armada Kickoff is brought to you by Dream Finders Homes, Community First Credit Union, Winn-Dixie, Baptist Health, and Bowden Eye & Associates.
Hello and welcome into Armada Kickoff. There are changes on the way for the Armada, and the first roster moves have already been made. We'll take a closer look. Also coming up, we look back on the spring season and ahead to the fall. We'll hear from Mauricio Ruiz about what some of the Armada goals can tell us about the next steps. We also have Mauricio and Andy Kidd of the Analysts Roundtable. We'll talk about their expectations and what the U.S. loss to Argentina in Copa America means. But we start with a look back at the spring season. The final record in the spring may not have been what the Armada had hoped for, but the team did enjoy a few highlight moments in the first 10 games of the season. Let's look back at the plays of the spring.
Box looking for some space. Pull on the ground and done through Vega, and the Armada lead 2-1. Cleared out for the moment. Boehner, a left-footed blast, and it goes in. Matt Boehner has ended the drought with his second goal as a member of the Armada. A little back heel here for Otter. Otter in the box, a chip and a goal, and the Armada have early life. Dixon back heel, Keita in the box. Keita scores, the Armada up 2-1 in extra time. Jamal Johnson crossing now for Junior Sandoval. Sandoval from distance and queued up, and it gives the Armada a lead.
Well, there are the highlights. Here are the stats, the spring season leaders for the Armada. You have Junior Sandoval with the most shots. He and Matt Boehner with the most goals for the Armada. Among the remaining players, Jamal Johnson, the only one with an assist. Tyler Ruthven played every single minute for the Armada this spring season. Also played all 180 minutes plus extra time against the opposition in the U.S. Open Cup. He has been the Iron Horse. And Ruthven also among the league leaders, second in the league in clearances in the spring season.
As for the Armada roster, just as Tony Meola's mentioned, there would be changes, and there have already been some. Signing 2 Swedish players, including veteran forward Alex Andersson, who should bring some punch to the Armada attack, and young midfielder Nicholas Mirapu, who has played on the Swedish U17 and U19 national team. Both should join the Armada during the fall season.
Players that you can switch around, and we're going to be very strong.
We saw a lot of different players, a lot of different lineups.
All right, welcome in the Analysts Roundtable presented by Subway with Mauricio Ruiz and Andy Kidd. Guys, let's talk about lessons learned in the spring. Andy, what was the most important lesson the Armada learned in the spring?
Well, I think they did a good job of solidifying the defense, and you've got to have a strong defense to, compete in this league. You got to be able to get shutouts. You got to be able to keep teams limited on their chances, and I think they did a decent job of that overall. But I think the common theme we've had during the spring season is we got to find a way to finish. We got to have somebody that's hungry in the box, that is a goal scorer, just passionate, makes it personal in the box. We talked about that before.
And I think Coach Miller, he knows what he wants his team to look like. And I think the lesson learned in leading up, how do you score goals? You got to get the ball in the box, but you have to hold up play.
Right.
And I think one deficiency in all of the components offensively that didn't lead to goals was the fact that we didn't have a hold up play up top.
Right.
So I think he's addressing that in the offseason.
Yeah.
Well, certainly you talk about the second most shots taken in the league, a lot of them outside of the box.
Right.
We'll see if they can find a way to create some more chances inside the box here in the fall. Speaking of the fall, what are your expectations for the fall season for the Armada?
I want the team to come back in the next couple weeks here with a good chemistry to them, with a personality and an identity, and we saw glimpses of that in the spring season, certainly towards the end of the spring season. So I want to see them start the fall with that personality, with that endurance, that we have an identity and we're here to win.
Right, and that they know that nothing's over right now. You know, that's the beauty of the NASL setup and their schedule. You know, while you may have taken your lumps in the spring, you know, there's so much time left. You know, come out with that positive attitude that, hey guys, we got 20 games, you know, to get it done. You still have a chance to make the playoffs. Right. Everything's still to play for. So you want to see in those first couple games, hey, you know, guys, let's go out there and let's get some points early on and start building some momentum.
All right, we'll have more on the Armada and the U.S. in Copa America coming up here in just a bit. Andy, Mauricio, thanks so much. Let's hear now from Tony Meola. He's already begun to make the changes to the team, including adding a pair of Swedish attackers. Here's Coach's Corner, presented by Asana Wellness Center, the official training facility of the Jacksonville Armada.
I think from the spring, the one thing we took is that we've been fairly organized. You know, we only give up 11 goals. That puts us, I think, 7th or 8th. You know, the 7 or 8 teams that gave up more goals than we did in an 11-team league at the time. So that's pretty good. Clearly, the idea is we need to score more goals. We had 5 goals in the spring season. Now we get into the fall. It's an emphasis. We've addressed that with some of the moves that we've made. And we'll continue to make moves to improve in the 4 lines that we have.
And you're bringing in 2 players from Sweden. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so Alex Anderson is a guy that's been at Degerfors for 7 or 8 years now. It's his hometown club. He had waited over the last 2 years to get out of Sweden, was waiting, obviously had a contract there. We started the negotiations in November when I first got here, and we're happy to bring him in. We think that he could be a good target player in this league. He also has the ability to run off people's shoulders, and his work rate is incredible. So the fact that we want to press all the time, we need to set it from the number 9 position, I think he helps us that way. With Nicholas Mirapu is a guy that came to us through some connections, and he's been with the U17s and 19s and the 23s in Sweden. He's a guy that they're looking to as sort of a future player with the national team. And he's a mix between an 8 and a 10. He's not a 10 where he's going to dribble by. He's very creative in his passing. He's technically very good, and I think will help us in that final third of the field. And the other thing he does really well is he's excellent at restarts. So I think you'll see a lot of him on the ball, regardless of where the restart is.
We should also mention getting a player back is just as good as adding a player, and with Pekka starting to make those steps forward, and he was out here training, it looked like a guy who was not too far off.
Yeah, he doesn't seem too far off. We always thought that this would sort of be our own little private transfer window with Pekka coming in. Obviously got off to a great start here and then got injured, and that happens in the game. And but we all kind of knew that if anyone was going to work their way out of, and I mean work his way out of the mess that he was in, it was going to be Pekka. So I'm not setting a hard target date. I know he has more target dates than I do. I'm sure July 2nd is on his mind. I'm probably more inclined July 9th or after that. But we'll just see how he progresses. He's one of those guys, though, Cole, that you can look in the eye and say, "Are you ready?" And he'll tell you if he's not or if he is.
We expect the Armada to look like a much different club as the fall progresses, and certainly one of the reasons is because the players will have enjoyed more time playing with one another. There were plenty of lessons learned in the spring and a chance to put things right in the fall.
We got to learn how to score. We're creating second most chances in the league. We've let the second least amount of chances, but that one mistake where the teams have been critical against us, we need to be able to be critical against other teams. We need to be able to finish our chances, and that would change games.
And that's ultimately what made the difference between the Armada contending and not this spring. In fact, with just 5 strategically placed goals, the Armada could have finished in the top half of the NASL instead of in 10th. But help is on the way. In addition to the signings of the 2 Swedish players, Pekka Lagerblom is set to make his regular season debut next month, which should help the Armada attack immensely. That is, as long as the Swedes can adjust to playing in a more physical league than they are used to.
Well, we as a team surely have to help them to adapt to the team and the style we play, but I think they're good players all we get now. So just to, hope to get them adjusted as fast as we can.
That transition isn't always an easy process. Each league has its own style and tempo, and it's important that the new faces recognize what it will take to succeed in the North American Soccer League.
It's a little different, obviously, than some of the other leagues in the world. Obviously, it's technical, but at the same time, it's physical. So I know a lot of team players have to come in and be ready for that demand that it takes on you. It requires you to be on your toes 90% of the 100%, the game, 90 minutes, should I say. So they got to be ready to come in and be physically prepared for it, because it's going to be a battle. I think it's a physical league. It's a real tight league. Obviously, you don't see many blowouts. You see a lot of 1-0s, 2-1s, so that requires teams to be focused throughout most of the game.
The Armada are likely to look quite different in the fall season, with as many as 7 different starters than Tony Meola used in the spring season opener.
Can't wait to see what the Armada shape up to be in the fall season. And it begins July the 2nd when the Armada take on the Tampa Bay Rowdies on the road. Then the next home match, first of the fall, July 9th against the new Puerto Rico FC. By the way, the Armada will be traveling to Puerto Rico on September the 17th, their first trip to the island. Single match tickets, also 4- and 8-match packs are on sale right now, as are fall season packs. Call 844-2-ARMADA or go online to armadafc.com. Coming up, 2 NASL teams will be carrying the torch for the league in the U.S. Open Cup. Plus, Mauricio Ruiz rejoins us for the Armada Boot Room. Stick around. More Armada Kickoff is straight ahead.
To enter for your chance to participate in the Winn-Dixie Bubble Battle, visit your nearest Winn-Dixie in your Armada gear, take a selfie, and post it to any of the Armada social media using the hashtag WinnDixieBB. 2 winners will be selected every Wednesday during a home match week. Assemble a team of 3, and you're ready for battle.
Still some bragging rights to win in the U.S. Open Cup and some intriguing friendlies for a couple of North American Soccer League clubs. Let's go around the NASL, presented by Nike.
2 NASL teams remain in the U.S. Open Cup, Fort Lauderdale Strikers and the New York Cosmos. The Strikers will face Orlando City, the team that knocked the Armada out of the tournament last round, while the Cosmos host the New England Revolution in the round of 16. Both matches will be played next Wednesday. Elsewhere, Indy 11 gets set to host Mexican side Pachuca in a midseason friendly. It's a matchup of the NASL spring season champion and the Liga MX champions from this year. It won't happen for another 3 weeks, but the Carolina Railhawks will host English Premier League side West Ham United on July 12th in a friendly. That falls within the fall season schedule.
All right, here are some of the important dates for the North American Soccer League in the fall. Next round of the U.S. Open Cup, July 29th, that's next Wednesday. Then the start of the spring season, July the 2nd. The first Armada appearance on CBS Sports Network is in August. And then it'll all be pointing toward the championship semifinal and the championship final in November. Now let's head to the Armada Boot Room, presented by MTech. All right, here in the Armada Boot Room, Mauricio, there were only 7 goals scored by the Armada over 12 games, including U.S. Open Cup matches. But you think there's some lessons to be learned from taking a look at some of them?
No, there is. And I think if you look at 5 of the 7 goals that were scored, they were high-class goals. They were world-class goals. But my message is those goals are typically sprinkled in some other uglier goals. Mm-hmm. And I think if the Armada take opportunity, some uglier goals. But we're going to look at the positive ones. We're going to look at the nice goals. And Junior Sandoval had a couple of them. We're just going to let the clip run through. Strike from the outside. We saw Junior Sandoval do this more than once throughout the season. Obviously, this one and the second one towards the end against the Rowdies ended in 2 goals. But we saw this happening a whole lot. Leading into it, great ball from Jamal Johnson over the top. Junior Sandoval, once again, smacks it from distance, just nice and teed up for him. These goals kept coming as the season went, but not enough goals came from opportunities like set pieces. You're going to see here in the Charleston Battery game, U.S. Open Cup, good little combination play on top of the box. Patrick Otter finishing there, and then the winning goal, Keita, once again, Alex Dixon combination.
And those two really came from build-up. If you think about the way that they came, they were from build-up. In the U.S. Open Cup match, we didn't see much of that outside of the Open Cup match.
Yeah, and they attempted to. They tried to build up, and it just didn't work a whole lot during the season. So they were kind of relied on goals that came from distance, the goals that came from really beautiful, perfect plays. You can't rely on that in this league. You got to score some set-piece goals, some corner kick goals, and really some ugly goals, as we saw Charles Solano when he stole the ball in the last game against the Rowdies, almost pulled that away. Armada have to put some more bravery and some courage behind those goals, behind those opportunities.
They get a few of those goals, things can change
completely.
In a hurry. We mentioned you can sprinkle 5 goals in the right spot, and all of a sudden the Armada are mid-table or higher.
Well, these goals, you think that it's a highlight for the season, but he happened to be the only goal scorer for the whole season, right?
Yeah. Need more of them. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Mauricio, thanks so much. All right, straight ahead, more from Mauricio and Andy Kidd on the Analysts Roundtable. We're going to talk about the U.S. and the loss to Argentina in Copa America and what it means for the national team going forward. Stick around. More Armada Kickoff right after this. Get your Hawaiian shirts and cheeseburgers in paradise ready. It's Armada Reedaville coming up as the Armada take on Puerto Rico FC Saturday, July the 9th. Kickoff at 7 o'clock. Plenty of pregame festivities. More information to come. Tickets are available starting at just $11 per match. Call 844-2ARMADA or go online to armadafc.com. And we're back here in the Analysts Roundtable presented by Subway with Mauricio Ruiz and Andy Kidd. The U.S. lost to Argentina in the semifinals of Copa America, Mauricio. Thoughts on what the Americans accomplished and what it meant to lose pretty badly to Argentina?
And they had some good performances in Copa America, and you're playing against some world-class teams here. Get into the semifinal, you have to take that as a positive. But we have to criticize the team for what they need to be criticized for. They didn't come out. They didn't perform. They didn't control their nerves. We knew that they were going to be outmatched. That's simple. Right. But then, what do you look like? And we didn't look good.
Right. And I think if you ask most people, they would say that the U.S. is a better side than Venezuela. But when you saw Venezuela come out against Argentina, they tried to punch them in the mouth. And they created chances. They had a penalty. They had a goal. They had other chances they could have scored. And I think anybody would take the U.S. over Venezuela in a one-on-one, in a head-to-head matchup. And so it was. I guess the troubling part about the Argentina game was that they didn't come out, they didn't show. They were seemed intimidated, maybe on their heels a little bit. And against a team like Argentina, you get punished.
Well, and you see the U.S. always their identity is solid defensively. They're tight on things. They're tight on the mark.
They're organized.
They're organized. We didn't see any of that. We saw a back line completely drop off. The center midfield that was completely absent, and the hold-up play.
Turnovers too.
It was bad. Yeah.
Andy Kidd had the same number of shots on Argentina as the rest of the U.S. team. That's a problem. But congratulations to you,
thank
Andy.
you. Thank you. Tied for the league.
All right, it is a semifinal run, as Mauricio mentioned. This run, Andy, does it affect your expectations for what the U.S. can accomplish in their World Cup qualifying?
Maybe not so much in the qualifying. I think everybody expected the U.S. to qualify for the World Cup. I mean, that is an expectation now. They've raised their level of play and their standard. That's an expectation. You should qualify for the World Cup. But what they can do in the World Cup, that's changed my expectation. You got a tournament right now with Brazil. You're in a tournament right now with Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, Uruguay, Mexico, and you're in the Final Four, and you could get as high as third place. I think that definitely, even though you lost pretty badly to Argentina, if you can find a way to win that third place game, I mean, the expectations go up.
Yeah, I agree. If there's anything in the qualifiers that should change expectation is eliminating the defeats to the Guatemalas and Honduras and El Salvador. Obviously, I think you have the matchups with Mexico. Costa Rica's a good side. I think there's some respectful sides in CONCACAF. But then there's your second tier that the U.S. still seems to struggle with oftentimes, and they really have to eliminate that. And the game against Trinidad and Tobago here in Jacksonville, in a couple of months, should hopefully validate that.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing how that all plays out here in Jacksonville. Let's talk about the Armada. Fall season still yet to start. When it does, Mauricio, what are the things you want to see in the early stages? It'll be kind of symbols and signs that they're heading in the right direction.
And once again, I think I want to see, and I'll stay consistent with it, I want to see a team that have a chemistry built into it. The majority of the roster is coming back, is returning. It's not going to be a new roster. There's going to be a couple new pieces into it. But this team, they got back to work right away. The spring season ended. Within not even a full week, they got back into work. So expect them in 2 weeks' time to look like a more confident team, and they should feel pretty confident because they competed against everybody in the league.
Absolutely. I mean, you saw them, give Indy, who was undefeated, everything they could handle. Almost, getting 3 points there. You saw them play some teams that were top of the table and play them to a goal either way, and come away with some points at some point. So at some instances, going into the fall, they should go in with confidence. Even though they're bottom of the table in the spring, they've done enough to show that they can compete in this league. So, one small thing, I'd love for them to get this away win out of the way at the very beginning. Just get it out of the way, get the win. Nobody's talking about it anymore, and go forward.
They could do that July the 2nd in Tampa. Andy, Mauricio, thanks so much. Coming up, a look ahead to the next steps for the Armada. Stick around. More Armada Kickoff is straight ahead. Next up for the Armada, they will take on the Tampa Bay Rowdies to open the fall season. Again, they finished off the spring with the Rowdies. They will open up the fall with the Rowdies. Chance for Coastal Cup points July the 2nd in Tampa. We'll have the broadcast for you right here on CW 17. So here is the next home match, and it is Puerto Rico FC's first appearance in Jacksonville. It'll be just their second NASL match, Saturday, July the 9th at Community First Park, and it is Armada Reedaville, presented by McDonald's. Tickets available. Call 844-2-ARMADA or go online to armadafc.com. Hey, remember, you can always get the very latest on the Armada online at armadafc.com. And on radio, Sports Radio 930, we have the Armada Coaches Show featuring Tony Miola Mondays at 6 and the Armada Soccer Show Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. The Armada back to action July the 2nd, a week from Saturday, on the road against Tampa Bay. We leave you now with some of the Armada selfies from National Selfie Day. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time here on Armada Kickoff.